Hi, this is LauraJthe.Treetalker, and I'm going to show you how the sausage is made today. Normally I do a reading with a tree early, and then I do a script and edit it a bit, and then make it so it's short and sweet. Today, we're going to do it this way, which is what I do. Take this and flip through. And I'm getting, something that has nothing to do with trees, or does, but it's. All right, so we're, oh my goodness, the Manchurian alder, okay, Manchurian alder. So, and I will show you that down there, if you can see it. And I'm gonna, first thing I'm gonna do is ask it what it wants to talk about. So, excuse me for a minute while I do that. Coping is what it says, as in coping with life, coping with situations. So, coping. It's saying that it requires energy, it requires determination, it requires sticking to your guns, having faith in yourself, believing that you can cope. So there's a certain amount of opinion of yourself that you have to deal with, which makes sense to me. When you are trying to cope with a situation that is faced by everybody, which is what's going on, you have to decide how much you want to contribute of yourself and your time, and whether what you've got to give is worth anything, and are you capable, or do you have enough money, or do you have enough time? And coping is also about being deliberate, and deliberating. Right. Because if you're coping, you can either cope quickly in the moment in a situation that requires fast action, or you can make a plan and try to execute it. It depends on the situation, obviously. If you are in a emergency type situation and you're coping, well, you have to be quick on your feet. Think firemen, police, anybody who's in a situation where things have to have to be dealt with immediately, and so it brings out the best in people quite often. People who take those kind of jobs are, generally speaking, have more bravery. I mean, obviously not always, but they are braver, they are willing to deal with stuff, depending on how large the situation. I mean, we know some things in the past few years where people in positions like that did not show what needs to be coped, and they basically failed on the job and messed up, and people died, and some people ended up committing suicide because they didn't feel like they did it well enough. So coping is a thing that most people do it on an everyday basis because they're not living the perfect life that they wanted. They feel they're kind of unhappy because they're not rich and powerful and have everything they want and life is easy and that kind of stuff. But so they're coping with their own sense of sometimes failure, with their own level of disappointment, with their own sometimes inability to deal with everyday things like families, children, jobs, accidents. If there's, say, a child born who has physical issues or mental issues, then the parents are coping with that, and who knows what the child is having to cope with. So coping is something that we all do all the time. It's an important aspect of living, because living is not always easy. As a matter of fact, I would say it was probably a challenge from start to finish. Although personally, I come from a family where, they tried to make it as easy as possible for us. But not everybody has that. A lot of people go through very challenging situations, starting when they're very young. And so coping is something that is a strength that people have. And it can be essentially bravery, be equivocated to bravery, because coping can lead to doing better than coping, because coping is essentially dealing with difficult things the best you can without necessarily making a lot of progress. So and I would assume that if you're coping with anything, whether it's physical problems and financial problems, that you do the best you can until you find a way to do better than that. So as you can see, when I'm doing a reading for a tree, it's me and it's the tree. It suggests what to talk about, and then my mind just goes. And I go on the assumption that what comes in my head is blended with what they intend. So I just thought I would try to do it once without the script, so people see I'm not just, well, I am. I could be talking to myself, whatever. So that's just the way it goes. But I figure, what's the difference? You're talking to trees, you're talking to angelic guides, you're talking to the Akashic record, whatever it is. It's something that is a little bit outside of your daily, what have I got to do, and I've got to go to work, and I got to get dressed, and I got to take care of the kids, I got to take care of the animals, got to do the dishes, whatever it is. This is something else where you start thinking about a concept or something that is a part of life that you don't consider most of the time. And that's what they usually want to talk about, is something like that, and how that kind of thing involves in our daily lives. And I would say that for most of us, either side of the political fence, are coping at this point, trying to figure out, what do we do now? And is this where we really wanted to go? And is it really a constitutional crisis? And blah, blah, blah. So coping, in this sense, means, yes, you do your daily thing and you try not to get too stressed out and freaked out and trying to go to war with somebody or blame somebody, and try to figure out what you can do to make your life better and the life of everybody else involved, which in this case is pretty much, the whole world when it comes down to it. Wow, that's... I know that astrologically there's a tremendous amount going on. Now, I don't know astrology well enough to be able to talk about it. But I do know that coping is important, and we all need to do it now. And also, when you are coping, part of that is being good to yourself and being physically, take care of yourself as best you can. If that's, taking time alone, sleeping more, taking a diet that's healthy as opposed to picking out on sugar, which is what I will tend to do. So be good to yourself, and try to be good to each other. because that makes you feel better. If you are kind to everyone else, you will feel good. It'll make you feel good. And I would say get together in groups, family or concerts or something. And don't go around being afraid all the time or worrying about, oh my God, what's going to happen to us in the end, because that's not going to help anything. So, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to trees is because they have a very outside view of things. They're not in the middle of it. Well, they are sometimes, but I mean, they have been on the planet for 450 million years, give or take. And I figure they must know something. So, anyway, I am now going to take my second computer, which the reason I have a second computer is because it was dying. And come on, you. There it is. So I had to buy this new one. Well, this new one has more abilities. I find that in terms of recording and stuff, I do this one in QuickTime, and then sometimes I have to run it through iMovie. But hello, yes, okay. Okay, now what's called this was Manchurian alder, right? Where's the light? Okay, here. Okay. All right, so okay, I want to find a picture that is large enough to actually show you. Why is this? Okay. Manchurian alder. Something big. I want big, old images. Prairie Horizon. Okay, so anybody who wandered onto this one and decided, ooh, I wonder what she's doing. Oh, that looks big. I'll go do you. Oh, God, I didn't mean to do that. Go back. Go back. Come on. Here we go. Ew. Full screen? What? Actual size? Oh, goodness. Guess not. Go back. There. Okay, well, probably got the best I can do here. So an alder, I mean, there's alders in the United States too. It's a leafy thing. Anyway, I guess it must be Manchurian because it originated in China, one assumes. At any rate, that's what it wanted to talk about. So coping. So I don't know. It's worth a meditation, I think. If you're into meditating, which I'm not. I do this stuff, but I'm not really a meditator. But it is worth thinking about. I mean, coping. And what is coping about? Are we coping? Or are we going to try for something better? And I hope that we try for something better, because coping will just lead us down the path of misery at this point. So yeah, I think in this particular political time and interest, we want to do more than cope, but we need to cope, if you know what I mean. At any rate, this has been rambling along for nothing. Silly anyway. So, oh my God, it's almost 15 minutes. Okay, so this is LauraJthe.Treetalker, and now you, as I say, you see how the sausage is made. And I will talk to you another time. See you later. Bye.